Talking about the ruling against the Arizona immigration law and what the fallout has been over the last several days, Nation talking about it, we're talking about it here on The Experience as well. Randy Feldman with us. You said something a few moments ago about the employer. And the fact is that a lot of people do feel that in this debate somehow the employer gets lost. If there weren't people who were obviously offering jobs knowingly to people who are in this country illegally, then there probably would not be as much of an illegal immigration problem. I mean, we've been talking about Arizona, but Fremont, Nebraska, much in the news recently as well. Meatpacking plants, jobs were plentiful. They have 4.5% unemployment. People are there. People are working. People have been working for years. Economy gets a little bit rough. A guy who's here legally is out of work, and all of a sudden he sees his neighbor who he knows is not here legally, and he's going off to work every day. You know, tensions run a little high.
There's no question that if we had a more secure system to make sure that somebody has legal papers to work, it would be for the benefit of the United States, a benefit for everybody in the country, right? We need that system. You could use a card, a more enhanced, secure Social Security card. You could use the current E-Verify system where everybody's documents have to be checked. All of that stuff would be better for the United States. What we're saying on our side is that's all true, and border enforcement has to be stepped up. But don't forget about the people that have been here under the old system that still need to be taken care of. So just do the things together. Do everything. And as far as...
Well, what do you mean, the people who have been here under the old system, the system where America turned a blind eye to you being here illegally?
Exactly, because we needed your labor. So we turned a blind eye to you being here illegally, and we thought that what you do while being here illegally is generally not very harmful to the United States and very harmful to you and sometimes to your employer and sometimes to the consumers in general.
What do you think has happened over the last couple of years, Randy, that has changed this debate? I mean, was it 9/11? Was that kind of the turning point when people began to say, hey, we need to secure our borders? Or has it been this economy of the last several years?
I believe it's just numbers of people. You know, I think when the numbers got too high...
12 million to 17 million?
Yeah, or I think a more realistic number, who knows, but I'm going to guess 10 million to 12 million is a more realistic number. I think what happens, and I think some people, to be quite honest, really are not for the ethnic groups that are coming in such large numbers. 56% of the people are from Mexico.
So you think some of, well, right, and that is a separate problem than perhaps what we would have here in Massachusetts. But now, so you talk about, you know, if there is some sort of a card or some sort of a system to verify that someone is here or is able to work, you know, here in the United States. If a police officer in Massachusetts, if a state trooper stops someone, and that person is in this country illegally, in the course of that routine stop, it turns out that they are here illegally, why wouldn't they immediately be arrested and deported?
That's the whole debate about what happened in Arizona. Arizona said that if a police officer stops somebody for any reason, car, loitering, group activity, whatever it is, every single person in that group must have their documents checked if there's a reasonable suspicion that they may not be here in the United States.
Now, what do we mean by documents? Just a valid driver's license?
Well, New Mexico, neighboring to Arizona, you can get a driver's license, like in 9 other states, 10 states, where you don't have to be legally in the United States. So that document, a driver's license, would not be enough. But what the judge said is that Arizona can't tell the federal government that we're going to pursue, and you must help us pursue, every single person pursuant to a valid stop. However, Obama administration already is saying for its Secure Borders program, we want everyone who's arrested and brought to a police station to be fingerprinted. So the debate between Arizona and the federal government is that everyone who's stopped and everyone in that group of people must have all their documents and must be detained. And this is what the judge was most angry about, that you can be detained for an indefinite period of time. You might be a U.S. citizen, you might be a permanent resident, you might be a student or an exchange visitor validly in the U.S. waiting to have proof that you're here and you've never been arrested.
Right. So somebody is going to be detained indefinitely, or somebody's going to the 7-Eleven and they're going to get asked for their papers just because of the color of their skin, or somehow they don't look as if they're American.
To be fair.
Well, right. But isn't part of the fear is that instead of being pursuant to a lawful stop, the people would begin to be profiled?
Without question. And if the law had gone into effect, we would have seen if that happened. Where individual policemen and women profiling people. But this is a facial test, a challenge to. So it's not an individual fact that we're dealing with, was that person profiled. This is just on its face, is it unconstitutional?
But this is where I think it gets so confusing, because to so many Americans it would seem then just to be black and white. You stop somebody, they're here in this country illegally, in the routine stop, you find out that they're here illegally. Well, what rights does somebody who is here illegally have? I mean, again, it comes back to, you know, so why wouldn't the police department then be doing the job of the federal government?
3 points. Because they don't understand immigration law. There's many, many different statuses that somebody could have, that it's either you're not a citizen or you're not illegal. There's about 24 things in between, and only an immigration official will know that. But more importantly, someone who has a green card that doesn't have their documents on them, or someone who's in illegal status that doesn't have their documents on them, or a Hispanic person, for instance, from Puerto Rico who's traveling through Arizona and doesn't have their documents on them, all of those people will now be detained after a legal stop. And that's what people have to realize. It is not just illegals that this centers on. It is the inspiration is to stop the illegal immigrant or unlawfully present immigrant problem. But the effect is that the net is way too broad, catching everybody who doesn't speak perhaps very good English or is brown skinned or doesn't have their documents on them to prove that they're legal. This is where the judge says Arizona cannot substitute its wants for the federal system.
Randy, and we started out by saying that both sides agree that it's broken, that the system is broken, and yet we don't see, and I think this is very frustrating for many people, but we don't see, even with what's happening in Arizona, what we see is the federal government suing Arizona. Why didn't we see Congress step up and say, hey, the system's broken, Arizona clearly is asking for help, 20 other states are thinking about laws that are similar to Arizona's, let's get this fixed. I don't see or hear where anybody in the federal government is trying to fix this broken system.
They're afraid. They're gutless. I mean, what else is there to say? It's a major problem which divides voters to be truly for or against you, and no one's 100% sure which way this will break. Everyone thought 60% thought Arizona was right. Now CNN Time poll comes out and says 81% believe that if you're working hard and paying taxes, you should have a way to become legal. No one knows how this will break. So everyone is afraid to take up such a contentious issue. And Democrats are afraid that they will lose some of the Reagan Democrats, and Republicans are afraid that they'll lose some of the pro-business or moderate members of their party. They're both completely afraid that this will divide them and make it harder for them as individuals to get reelected. It's certainly a gutless proposition. Congressman McGovern told me many years ago, a law on immigration will only pass in the first of a 2-year term of a congressional district,
now,
because they'll never
November.
take it up near the election.
Right.
So perhaps they'll take it up in a lame duck session.
Randy, thank you. All right, and more to come right here on the Hank Stolz Experience.